Nope, that's good. Go ahead, hit the video. And now everyone knows what Vengreso stands for. Welcome to today's live show. I am super excited. If you saw my promo, you saw how excited I was because we have Mr. Park Howell here. He is known as the world's most industrious storyteller, helping leaders of purpose-driven brands grow as much as 600%. So you're going to want to stay tuned. I'm not going to read the whole bio. He's been in business for a long time. I won't say how long, but a long time. Has been named Advertising Person of the Year, is recognized amongst the top 10 impact companies in Arizona. But most importantly, he is the founder of Business of Story, a proven platform based on his 10-step story cycle system. Guys and gals, you have got to check this out. It takes storytelling and brand story to a whole new level. And his weekly Business of Story podcast is ranked amongst the top 10% of the most downloaded podcasts in the world. You've got to check out Brand Be Rich. We're going to share the links to his book. We're going to share the links to his podcast. We're going to share the links to his website. What you need to know is that he consults, teaches, coaches, and speaks internationally. He's guided hundreds of brands, grown thousands of leaders in companies like Dell, Hilton, Cummins, Walgreens, Banner Health, and United States Air Force. Sorry, we just got moved to Banner Health. Okay, I'll stop there. Anyway, you've done a good brand story with them. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring Park up. Chom, if you could bring Park up. There we go. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am awesome, Viveka. Thank you so much for being here. And I love your enthusiasm because I'm just waking up here in Arizona. So
exactly.
Great to be on your show this Friday morning.
We got you at 8:30 in the morning. Yeah, for those of you on the East Coast, like you're like, hey, I'm going to have lunch, watch the live. Us, we're like, yeah, we need more coffee.
Well, and then as I had mentioned before the show began, we had this amazing storm blew through. I'm up in northern Arizona. I didn't sleep much, and I got up at 4:15. My wife and I, and we heard this growling going on outside our home, and I went out on the deck, and it was like either a mountain lion or a bobcat. Something was going crazy below our deck, and I just got back in, shut the door, and Michelle says, "You going to go back to sleep?" I go, "No, I don't think so." So great to be here. I'm glad I made it.
I'm going to be a morning person out. Yeah, and I'm glad the mountain lion didn't eat you.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Woo,
Could be Sasquatch, too, for that matter.
It absolutely could have been Sasquatch. The stories we tell. So today we are going to talk about, or you're going to share with us strategies, tips, ideas around helping sales leaders, sales professionals excel through the stories they tell. So the first question is, by now we know how important storytelling is in business, and marketing gets it. I think for the most part, marketing gets, yeah. But sales, not so much. I think the whole idea of storytelling to sales, unless you're one of those, old sales guys and gals who've been, telling the stories for ages, the newer folks, I wonder if they understand how powerful it is. And, is that why they're not using it? Like, why are more people in business not using storytelling?
Yeah, it's really simple. They're just not taught it. We're
Yeah.
not taught it in junior high and high school and college.
Yeah.
They are starting to roll out some storytelling programs. I mean, the
Oh, that's
MBA
cool.
programs, forget about it, And so what happens is we're in business and we want to look and sound smart. So
Yeah.
we lead with logic and reason,
Yeah.
data, our intellect, when
Yeah.
what that Homo sapien wants sitting across from us is a story to
Yeah.
place all of this information into the context of a real world event. So it comes down to, we're just not simply taught it. Now, marketing is, a lot of
Yeah.
those folks are copywriters, whatever, and they are taught forms of storytelling. But I've been in the branding, advertising, marketing world for, well past 35 years. And I wished I had learned this stuff in the third grade.
Yeah.
It's just that powerful. Now, sales, they are much more intuitive. And, the top salespeople are already great storytellers. I'm not
Yeah.
really teaching them anything new. But Viveka, what I teach is I want everybody to evolve from being an intuitive storyteller, which we all are, into intentional ones using these 3 proven frameworks that I teach. And it will blow people away when they start doing this, the impact it has on their connection with their customers,
Yep.
growing sales, and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Lori.
Hey, Lori.
Richardson. Yeah, Lori Richardson's in the house.
There's one of my sprinters right there. Just went through a brand story sprint with Lori. We're working on her brand story. So much fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I was an English major originally. So the whole Joseph Campbell, storytelling thing, I'm like, oh yeah, duh, everyone knows that. But turns out not everyone does know that. So you've got a very specific framework that you've developed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it came out of absolute desperation, for lack of a better term. I ran an ad agency in Phoenix for 20 years. And about 2003, 4, we did a lot of branding work. And I woke up one morning and realized it doesn't work anymore. I mean, technology had showed up. Websites, e-commerce, social media, certainly in its infancy back then, took over. And when brands used to own the influence of mass media, they had the megaphone. But of course, what happened, the masses became the media, and they own your story, my story, and everybody else's story. So I had to figure out, okay, what do we do now? And I was fortunate because in 2006, our middle child, our son Parker, went to film school at Chapman University in Orange, a brilliant film program. And he's graduated 2010. He's been in Hollywood ever since. Does a lot of work in virtual reality and mixed reality. But while he was going there, I said, hey, send me your books since I'm paying for them when you're done with them, because I want to know, what does Hollywood teach you, to be a competitive storyteller in the most competitive market in the world, LA.
Yeah.
That's when I really started studying Joseph Campbell. And that's when I'm like, whoa, I didn't really get the hero's journey until then. And to me, it hit me upside the head. I said, why don't salespeople use this process? Because it is embedded in our psyche and the stories that we love, that we can use them to connect on a very human level and really move your audience to action from their perspective, from what they want out of life, and how you're there to help them.
That is so key, because I think a lot of people, even if they move into story, they're moving it for my story. Here's what our business does. Here's the journey of, the hero's journey of our company. And who cares? It's your buyer. We care about them. And speaking of that, hey to Andre, hey to Vance. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. And please feel free to put any questions that you have for Park in the comments, and we'll try and get to them as well. So anyway, back to you. I wanted to put a huge emphasis on it's the story of our buyers. It's the story of our audience. And that is the big 180, I think.
And that's the major paradigm shift that I see all the time in the marketing world. And even like chief marketing officers that have been doing this for an awfully long time. And I have to go in and say, look, this story is not about you. It is about your customer. You, as the brand or the salesperson, the offering, actually play the more important role of mentor or guide. Because you think about any great story, our protagonist, the hero in that story, gets nowhere without a sidekick or mentor, a guide or someone there. And that's what the brand, that's what the salesperson is there to do, to help them get what they want through the product offering.
Exactly. The salesperson isn't Luke. The salesperson is Yoda.
Exactly. Or Han Solo. Or depending on what your personality is. You're right.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. All right. So what are what specifically are the 3 different storytelling frameworks that you do teach?
I'm going to teach it exactly backwards. So you had mentioned my book. This is the Brand Bewitchery. This is the story cycle system. I took the hero's journey and I boiled it down and mapped it to business so that intellectual business brain could get it and they wouldn't think it was too woo-woo. And we've had great success with it. But it's complicated. So I learned it, I developed it, we had great success, but it's complicated. Then I learned about the 5 primal elements of a short story for big impact. And this is a story that you can tell in under a minute. It kind of follows a hero's journey, but it's very abbreviated. You have 5 elements you want in there. You want to, when did this story happen? Give me a timestamp on it. Where did it happen? Give me a location stamp. When you do that, it connects with the limbic system, and that storytelling monkey sitting across from you, which we all are, leans in because they're like, oh, something must have happened if Park is telling me a time and a place. Then you have a central character, not 2 people, not an organization, not a team. It's about one individual that your audience can relate to. You have action and surprise that comes out of that action, and then the aha moment that makes your business point for you. So that's the second framework. But the one I want us to really focus on today is what I call the and, but, and therefore, the ABT. That is the most foundational framework that once you start working on that and build that into your intellect, you get this amazing narrative intuition built on the problem solution dynamic that not only does our limbic system love, but so do your customers, because you are there to solve a problem for them, and it makes you think about them in the telling and the crafting of your ABT. And, but, therefore.
I'm like account-based teamwork. I've got the AB. I'm always account-based, but it's not. It's about
but, and therefore. And real quick, my background on this is, as I was studying story and building off of the story cycle system, I met Dr. Randy Olson, Harvard PhD evolutionary biologist turned filmmaker, went to USC Film School, graduated, produced 3 documentaries on climate change and global warming, but more importantly has written 5 or maybe now 6 books on helping scientists use story framework structures to do a better job of communicating their big ideas. His one go-to thing from an evolutionary standpoint and a Hollywood storytelling standpoint is this and, but, and therefore. It's perfect story structure of setup and problem, but, therefore, resolution. It's 3-act structure, and it's something you can do in under 15 seconds. Can I give you a quick example of it?
I was going to say, can you give us an example of what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I'm going to say, all right, so you are a salesperson. I'm going to put you in the statement of agreement. This very first statement, the setup is aspirational and opportunistic. Here's what you want in life. So you, as a sales professional, want to connect with people and move them to action to increase revenue growth. But you're boring them because you're leading with features and functions, data, logic, and reason, when what their brain really wants is emotional context. Therefore, use the and, but, and therefore every time you're doing a sales presentation to find your singular theme from your customer prospect's point of view, helping them understand that you appreciate what they want out of life. And even more importantly, you really get why they don't have it, what problem you're going to solve for them. And then therefore, here's my solution. ABT. Wow. That is the single most powerful framework. I call it the DNA of story. And I'm so glad because I one-upped Dr. Randy Olson on that, the evolutionary biologist. I said, you know what the ABT is? It's the DNA of story. And he goes, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. So he made it in his 3rd book with that.
That is awesome. All right. So and but therefore. So I'm looking at some of the folks who are on the call, some of these folks. So I'm going to call you out, and maybe we can do an ABT for them.
That'd
So
be
I'm
awesome. Yeah.
all right. So Corinna, thank you for being here. Corinna is amazing. So she and her company went through, I don't know if I'm allowed to say who you are, so I'm just going to say company. She and her company went through selling with video, and she nailed it. I mean, she's so good on video. So it's an insurance company. So there and but ABT and but therefore, if she's reaching out to a client, and she's more account management. So if she's reaching out to an existing client, what is she doing? How can she use the ABT to increase conversation to, I don't even know how to ask the question. How can she use the ABT?
So that's the beautiful thing about the ABT, because it's a great story listening device too. So we've all been there when we've got a prospect or a customer that's having so much problems. They're so frustrated. They just do this vomit of, you can't believe what's going on in my life. You sit there and you listen and you listen and you listen, you take notes, and then you restate to them, say, this is what I heard, and you place it in the ABT, starting with them. You want this, and it's important to you because of this, but you don't have it because of this. Therefore, I believe that we can help you by doing this. So you use it first as a listening device, and you just reframe what they said to you. And then 3 really amazing things happen. Number 1, they go, oh my God, you actually listened.
You heard me.
I can't believe it. Number 2, you actually said that better than I did. So you really understand where I'm coming from. And then number 3 is sometimes the most important and surprising is they'll say, gosh, you got that so close, but I realized I didn't tell you one other thing, which is typically the real problem they're dealing with. They've just told you about a bunch of symptoms, and now you get down to that problem. So it helps you cull through what your prospect really is looking to do. The other thing is it makes you place your prospect, your customer, that person sitting across from you at the center of the story, because you don't get to talk about yourself until they're there for. It's all about them and their problem and how you can help them.
See, I see my friend Lisa on the call too. And as you were talking, it just seemed like couples counseling a little bit, when you say this, I feel that, but that it kind of is what the ABT is, right? You let them vomit forth all of their issues. And then what I hear is, but, and then therefore. So I think people could use ABT, never mind in sales, in counseling and couples counseling too. Well, Lisa's not a couples counselor. I'm just,
no. And I'd like to give a shout out to Alice Hyman because she's the one who introduced us. And I've been working with Alice on her brand story, and she has been invaluable to me in helping me on sales for the business of story. And she and I talk about this a lot. As she's working with CEOs and whatever, and some of the biggest challenges that she sees is their sales team are not listening to the customer. And then they come in and they just throw a bunch of features and facts and functions at them, and they lose them. And yet it seems like it's such a natural thing to just take a deep breath, zip it, and listen. What's going on in their world, and can I help them? If I can help them, let me show them how. And then hopefully that's going to be compelling enough to get them in, into your world.
Yeah, I love that. It's like what Dan says. They've been seen, heard, and validated. So our salespeople need to learn how to tell stories, but they need to learn how to tell stories by listening and using ABT.
That's where it starts. I mean, that ABT builds a narrative intuition. I would tell anyone listening, watching here, don't worry about going and building a big repertoire of stories right now. Get this problem solution, cause and effect dynamic down so it's so ingrained in your brain, you use it everywhere. Start writing emails starting with an ABT. Practice it. Use it on sales presentations. When how often do we go in and we oversell too many features and functions? We're no longer on a singular narrative. That Homo sapien brain sitting across from you in your prospect's head wants a singular narrative. What's the main problem you're solving for them? You might have 2 or 3 supporting points on how you're going to do it, but the ABT makes you think that way because it only allows you to solve for one problem at a time.
Yeah, we have something called the PVC, so now we're going to have PVC ABT.
What's a PVC stand for?
So our PVC is you want to personalize your engagement, whether it's one-on-one, synchronous or asynchronous. So you want to always personalize it either to the buyer persona, which I know you had Ardith Albee on your podcast too, which
She's awesome.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you want to always personalize to your buyer persona. You always want to add value. So you'd have to listen to know what the value is. And then you always want to end with a call to action so you get your next activity. So we can do PVC with ABT.
Well, the ABT, I would argue, would be your single tool to make sure that you are doing your PVCing. Because you got to personalize it in that statement of agreement up top of what tomorrow looks like, in a very positive way. You add value by heightening the problem. Here's the problem. And that value then comes in with your therefore solution, which naturally leads to a CTA. So ABT to a PVC to a CTA. There you go. Sounds like a t-shirt.
Duke or Chom, did you write that down? Because that's too many letters for me. I love it. No, but that is absolutely key. And so listening is important. And then being captivating being able to captivate them and tell the short story. So I think one of the things is, they hear storytelling and they're thinking 2.5 hours of Lucas, right? Lucas films. No.
How often do you and your viewers say you only got 5 minutes or you got 10 minutes and that's it?
Yeah.
Well, the ABT is the cure to that. And the reason why is it makes you do all the work in advance and you go in and you begin that meeting with an ABT and you get them, if it's strong enough, if you have enough contrast between what they want in that statement of agreement and why they want it, and contrast that with, but here's why you don't have it. They will give you more time than scheduled for all the rest of it. If you can build enough contrast there and you can deliver that ABT in under 20 seconds, in under 15 seconds. And the most interesting thing to me about it is when you really nail it, you will see your prospect lean into you. Just
like
suddenly.
literally.
They won't even know they're doing it. But when you get them to lean in, you're like, got them hooked. Okay, now I'm going to want to bring them into the boat. So you're 20 seconds into your presentation. This is when you roll out the 5 primal elements of a short story, because you've made you've got a premise of the problem in your ABT. Now you have to deliver on the promise of that. It's delivering on the promise of the premise. And you do that by sharing a very short anecdotal story in under a minute, under 2 minutes if you can. It uses the same ABT structure, but now you are filling it out with an actual person, an actual place, an actual time, something actually happened that demonstrated the problem and how you were there to help them. So what you have done in under 2 minutes and under 2.5 minutes in that 5-minute meeting is you've been able to hook them with an ABT. You've been able to demonstrate your business point with this little anecdotal story. And now you have 2.5 minutes for them to go, okay, give me some, back it up. Give me some data if you have to. Or what happens quite often is that 2.5 minutes ends up being 10 minutes or 15 or 20 or 30 because you've hooked them and you really can solve their problem.
That's, I remember a while ago, there was a controversy. There was a little controversial post on LinkedIn about 15-minute meetings. Are 15-minute meetings worth it? And a lot of people were saying you can't do anything in 15 minutes. Yeah, you can. You can do something in 5 minutes if you use your ABT with the 5 story elements.
I mean, you're trying to hook them in those first 2 minutes. I know people always say, oh, you only have 9 seconds to get their attention or whatever. Yeah, but you're sitting in a meeting, you've got their attention. Now use these proven frameworks that literally have been around since the beginning of time. I argue, and Randy and I talk about this a lot, that storytelling is more important for our evolution and our survival than our opposable thumbs. Because we are the only beings that we know anywhere in the universe that thinks and acts in story and can imagine a different tomorrow than today. So we can think in fiction and then we make it fact. And that's what we all, when we are selling, we are first starting with fiction because we want our prospect to see what a brighter tomorrow, an easier tomorrow, or more prosperous tomorrow looks like. So we're totally dealing in fiction. Our job
Yeah.
is to make it fact, is to come in and then deliver on those promises we make. But that's how you hook the storytelling brain.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I love Tommaso said, this works for marketing too. Yes, Tommaso, Park actually is born from the marketing world and is pulling this information. But yeah, 100%. This is the marketers need to be telling this story too. And the key is the hero is your buyer, not you. So I love that. And I love that Dan Goodwin says 15-minute meetings are the go-to for my coaching. So the same, oops. Chom and I both promoted that at the same time. There we go. Value prop meetings. Absolutely. 100%. So this is so great. And I hadn't even I haven't even gotten to that part of your book yet. So I'm really excited to learn about the ABT.
Viveka, the other thing we're finding, starting with the ABT, is it does bridge marketing and sales, because how often, all the time, they don't get along and they don't see the world the same way. Marketing says one thing and sales goes, oh my God, really? Are you guys leading with that again? But when you get your marketing folks trained up on this ABT, it becomes like the green zone where you could come together and say, yes, this is how we need to change this landing page using this ABT. In fact, I did this with Sharp Electronics. I was doing a virtual training with 120 of their sales marketing folks a couple months ago. And I pulled up one of their landing pages, and it was all about Sharp Electronics, chest pounding and how wonderful we are. And I said, what happens if you change this to an ABT from the customer's perspective, which then I rewrote, showed them the magic and put it up there. They had an 87-word landing page copy. I got it down to 48 words from the customer's viewpoint. And one of their national account guys sent me a note the next week. He goes, I don't know what it is about this little messaging thing, but I swiped your ABT, used it on one of my national accounts that I've been trying to expand. The client loved it, and we're moving on. So that's an example of how you can bridge the gap between marketing and sales with this simple little tool.
Wow. That's another thing I'm always pounding my chest on is that gap between marketing and sales. So I love this. Okay, guys, if you love this as much as I do, depending on what platform you're on, make sure to give us likes, loves, etc., because Park is just nailing it. Also, we have only a few more minutes. So if you've got a question, make sure to pop it into comments. I've got both Tuke and Chom looking at our comments just in case they're not coming into StreamYard. So speaking of telling stories, who are some of your favorite storytellers, and tell us some of those stories?
All right. So I'm a little reluctant to say this, but I'm going to, because it was just amazing. I got to go to Necker Island and meet and work with Richard Branson this past March, a couple of months ago. Something came out of nowhere, working with a digital firm here in Arizona called Digital Airstrike. They rented Necker Island and brought a bunch of their automotive clients out there and brought me along to do some storytelling training program for their salespeople and hang with Richard, who was very, very cool. It's the first time they'd had anybody back on his island since COVID hit. But I tell you that because he is like right at the top of my storytelling heap. The work he's done and the way he's handled the whole Virgin brand, and his ability to tell a story. He's number one in my book, at least those that are still alive. Steve Jobs was brilliant at it. I think Airbnb does a remarkable job with their storytelling. They've lost their way a little bit from what I've seen that's coming out after the pandemic, but I would like to see them get back to their storytelling. When you look at the work they've done, both on the marketing side, on the branding side, and the selling side, they have these very cohesive stories, and they use the framework. They use Hero's Journey and some others too.
Yeah. If you want to think of good stories in a short time, look at Super Bowl ads, right? A lot of them run through this, not all of them, but like Budweiser, right? You got the story of the little horse or the dog who could, or whatever.
Yeah,
you
got
that
you can break
little
them
story
down, and you see them go right through the whole free tag pyramid, the hero's journey. But here's the thing, and this is what I've learned. As I mentioned, when I started doing this, I had the complicated way of doing it because we were using it for brand strategy. And then I found the simpler and simpler ways to do it. even some of those commercials, they can be, you're just like, okay, what's really going on here? They're great, but how do I, and I find that business people and salespeople don't have the time to dissect all that and try to then make it work. Look, we're not Hollywood storytellers.
Right.
We don't work at Pixar. We can't pull off the Pixar storytelling format.
We're not all your son.
No, but we can do the ABT because it is inherent about how we think, how we like to digest information, and how we like to communicate. It's so simple. I once had someone tell me, Park, this is reductive and insulting. And I just go, wow, well, you may think that, but it's so powerful. Our jobs in sales and branding and anything is to make the complex simple. Yeah. We have to do the work to make the complex simple so that that person sitting across from us goes, oh, I get it. Yeah. I didn't even have to work for it. Wow. Okay. What's next? That's our job.
Yeah. It's not easy, but we got to make it look simple, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. So you've already had a bunch of people buy your book, I noticed in the comments, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And I 100%, I mean, I'm right in the middle of it. I 100% recommend it to everybody. We'll make sure to get the links. Chom, if you can grab the links and put them right into the comments so people can see. We will make sure that they get the links to your podcast, to your book, to your website. And you've got a new product coming out. It wasn't quite ready for today, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it will be a very brief online 3-session course that will take you 15 minutes to do. And it is going to take you by the hand. Act 1, the setup. What is the ABT? How's it work? Act 2, how do you apply it in your sales? And then Act 3 is where do you see it everywhere around you? Wow. And this is why you need to be using it through each one of those. It's a 3 to 4 minute instructional video. And then I put you to work writing ABTs on your own projects, sales and whatever. The next video then works your ABT with you. And the final one shows you how to apply it in any number of different areas. That will be up on the businessofstory.com next week. And what I'll do is I'll send you a link to it. And it's going to be really cheap. It's only $35. The idea is to make it easy, come in and make it work for you.
That's awesome. We'll get that link once we have it into, wherever you're watching this, we'll get it into the feed. So you keep an eye out for that too. Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's just gold. I mean, I'm going to start thinking ABT in all my conversations with our clients, with our prospects, with my husband.
Can I put you on the spot, Viveka?
Yeah.
What would be, now that you know this, and it's okay, don't worry about perfection here.
Yeah.
What would be the ABT for Vengreso? And I am your prospect.
Okay. All right. So prospect, tell me a little bit about what is your frustration with virtual selling?
Being able to really connect with that person sitting across from me, because I feel like Zoom and virtual selling is a little bit like a Turkish prison visit. I'm on one side of the panel, my loved one's on the other, and like we're there, hey, and it's really hard to connect. So how can I do a better job of connecting virtually?
Okay. So let me see. And is the issue is virtual selling and connecting the virtual and is virtual selling. The but I don't feel like I'm actually connecting. Therefore, you need to find a way to feel like you're actually connecting with your buyer. So Vengreso's ABT, if I'm doing this correctly, is
great. Yeah.
We understand that you as as the seller, you understand that you need to use this virtual aspect, but you're not really feeling connected to your buyers and therefore you need to hire Vengreso. Just ask Corinna, because we will show you how to create that charisma so that your buyer really feels like you're engaging with them, even if we're doing it virtually through Zoom.
Oh, Vengreso selling virtual charisma. I like that. Like that. So yeah. So
write that down, Duke. We sell virtual charisma.
But yeah. So Park, you've got the business of story, and growth is so important to you, like it is every business. You're selling in the virtual world, but you don't feel like you're connecting like you are sitting across the, Therefore, Vengreso helps you with your what we call virtual charisma and teach you how to connect and convert that prospect, even as they may be sitting all the way around the world on your Zoom screen. Let me show you how.
Bam. We're going to have Park on again just so I can get free consulting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. It is so powerful. I want you to all practice it. And here's what I'd like for your people to do. So if you're watching this today, start writing your ABTs, write 3 emails today using an ABT, teach 2 people, colleagues, customers, whomever, about the ABT, because you don't know what you know until you teach it.
Yep.
And then if you got one big sales program presentation coming up today or this week, next week, write 1 ABT as your theme that you are going to launch that presentation with.
Wow. That is okay. Everyone has their homework. If not, you can just fast forward and listen to that last bit again. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Park, for your time today. We've put up all your links, but let us know again what's the best way to get in touch with you.
Businessofstory.com, or if you want to reach out, just my name, Park, P-A-R-K, at businessofstory.com. Other than that, I have such a weird name, and you want to find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all my handle is Park Howell. Can't miss it. So that's where you can find me.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We've got one more announcement, but everyone wave goodbye to Park. Park, wave goodbye to everybody else.
Story on.
Story on. I love it. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to kick Park off. He was amazing. Was that not super, super cool? That was amazing. So I've kicked Park off. I'm going to bring Duke on. And you have a special announcement about Vengreso Live and what our story and what we're morphing into. And we can't hear you. Oh, you're on mute. Let's unmute you. There we go. Oh, you muted yourself. All right. There we are. The story of 2021. You're on mute.
Well, this is going to be our last show of Vengreso Live. And then next week, we're starting a brand new show called MSM, the Modern Mastery Sales Program Show.
Same time, same place.
Same guests. And we're going to be doing a little bit more interactivity as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I'll be hosting some of them. We'll have Mario hosting some of them, you hosting some of them.
Absolutely. It's going to be
chaos. And are we going? It's going to be
exciting chaos. And we're going to have great guests just like Park. Man, he really hit it out of the park today, didn't he, Viv?
He no pun intended.
Great guest.
Park hasn't heard that one before. Yeah, no, he was
a pun in there and I didn't even realize
it. Yeah, exactly. You're so punny. and introduce yourself. People are like, who's this Duke guy?
I'm Stacy Gentili. I'm Vengreso's director of marketing, and we're just like every other company. And one of the things I've been preaching about, especially in a lot of my Forbes articles that I've been writing lately, is every company right now has to become an engagement company, an entertainment company. Nobody wants to read PDFs. Nobody wants to read blog posts. They want video. They want authentic video. They want to be connected to each other and have that community and that audience. And that's exactly why we've rebranded this show of Vengreso Live as the Modern Sales Mastery Show.
Awesome. All right, folks. So you heard it from us. When's our first show? Next week?
Next
or
week.
2 weeks from now. Next week. Okay.
The 28th.
It's good we've got a marketing team to keep me in spot. All right, awesome. So join us, same time, same place. Are we doing it weekly or still bi-weekly?
It's weekly.
We're going to go weekly. Okay, good. I always said that. I always said we should be weekly. Okay, good. So you're going to be able to catch us same time, same place, weekly, new branding, Modern Sales Mastery Show. There's going to be a little bit of me, but you're going to get access to everybody else on our team as well.
Full cast of characters.
Full cast of characters. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you same time, same place, new name next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.